Hi there, welcome to Prime Time. I'm Paul Orford and I'm here today with Tony from Monk Communications. Previously, Tony was on Prime Time. I had a huge response from people who are both non-content writers and non-marketers, and also people who are quite well established as well. So it's great to have Tony back. We're here at the San Raphael Hotel. We've got some awards to go to tonight, which are going to be fantastic. We'll have some drinks, etc. and have a good time. So welcome back, Tony.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
So the the discussion we're looking at today to speak about was Brexit in the UK, not in the social policy sense, more in the forex sense. So
That's right.
how you're more London or UK centric,
Yeah.
it's fair to say. How is it affecting you at the moment?
Broadly, we've had 3 years of inertia. It's been very, very sluggish in the widest sense, looking across the marketing spectrum. And because of some of the macroeconomic things that are playing out at the minute as well, that we've had very little movement in interest rates. Currencies have broadly been pretty sluggish. There's been very little movement. So I think what I see as a big opportunity come, possibly as soon as the end of October, but it could well be later, is a big spike in volatility once we start seeing some real progress.
Now, I saw that brokerages have kind of started advertising or had Brexit in their promotions and having clients aware of this. I don't think they've pushed it enough as an opportunity for their clients to understand there's going to be volatility. Whether that's up or down, who knows? But there's a good content for them as well.
Absolutely, and obviously London being a content hub, and these brokerages being global, they really should be making the most of this. There's a lot of people on the ground in London who can be telling them or telling their clients how to understand this, what to be looking for, and what the triggers are going to be for the vol.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, London really is ground zero for this, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when the actual trigger is pulled, if it is pulled, but even if it's not pulled, it doesn't matter. You're still going to get volatility because no one's made a decision.
Yeah.
So even like today when we're recording this, we have a situation in Ireland where we've got a checkpoint that's not a checkpoint, so on and so forth. And even that news coming out creates volatility. So, I mean, would you, as a content writer, write about specifics like this, or would you keep it more general?
I think I would be inclined to keep it more general, just to look at because there are so many moving parts here that really tax even the most clued up of political commentators back in the UK. But I think the message to be telling, for brokers to be telling their clients, is, look, this is the broad picture, this is what's happening. Things like prorogation aren't unusual. Yes, the timing was proven to be incorrect, but I think it's important that people can sort the wheat from the chaff and understand where the real nub of the issues lie, to know about the key dates, October 19th, October 31st, and then what might happen beyond that.
Yeah. I mean, potentially there's so many things beyond that can happen, like rate rises or rate decreases. I mean, there's so much. What's it saying? The known unknowns. I can't remember. Was it the American politician who come out before the Gulf War? There's so many things out there. But it's the same with Brexit. We don't know what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
And when you don't know what's going to happen, there's always opportunities. It's not to say sell your house and go long on the Euro USD or something like that. But there's so much opportunity out there for brokerages. Not the clients are a different thing completely, but a brokerage should really be nailing this down now and getting some good content out there.
And absolutely, especially in terms of sterling's the blindingly obvious one here. It's gone from being hugely stable to flitting around in the way that an emerging market currency may do. But we, as you said, mentioned rate rises there. The Bank of England have come out and said, well, even if there's a deal, we might need to cut rates, but at the same time, are we going to see rampant inflation? If food is harder to get into the country, then prices are going to go up. If people from Europe aren't willing to work in the UK, even if there are, whatever post structures are in place, we're going to find labour costs are going up. Inflation's a real risk.
Yeah. Look, I don't want to get too much into personal opinions, but I think it's an utter disaster. But hey, look, I'm not the politician, so what can you do? But look, I just think it's best if they just get it done now and it's all finished, and let's just see how the cards fall.
I think that there is an element of that, and I do wonder to what extent is Boris Johnson's plan being just people are so fed up with it now they'll just take anything just to get this done. And I think that applies increasingly to the rest of Europe as well as, or the rest of the EU as well as the UK, because again it is having a drag on their outlooks as well. People want certainty, they want to know where they're going, and once we start to see that, I think there's going to be some fantastic vol, and brokers need to be making sure they can exploit that.
So as a content writer, do you focus on specific events in the UK? Because you're very, like I say, UK centric, so would you focus on the general election, or would you keep it quite general?
There's a mix of both. Obviously, it's important that from the educational perspective that people can understand why a rate rise affects the pound and why a move in the pound affects the FTSE. You've got those building blocks going across, and then you have the more specific points as well, which again allow you to drill down a bit deeper, because people again need to know, and I think it's especially important for people who are outside of the UK bubble, that they know what's going to happen with a general election, or what might happen in terms of who's going to win, what policies are likely to be in place, and how that's going to affect the economy.
It's quite hard, I guess, when you're writing content like this to give fact rather than an opinion, because it's quite easy for some people to not go in there and start waving a Boris Johnson flag, but like to kind of move away from the facts slightly.
I think where we might actually have an advantage here is the compliance constraints, because we can't be giving advice, so that encourages you just to explain what's going on and what might happen off the back of that, rather than having to get onto a political path and take a certain agenda.
That's quite a complex job, though, what might happen.
Yes, but well, it is, but that's my job, is to distill that down and give a sequence of events. So, for example, we've got payrolls coming out tomorrow in the US, so what numbers are we looking for there? What is likely to happen what does it mean if unemployment rates spike? What's the Fed going to do? What's going to happen to the dollar? What's going to happen to the Dow? And it's you can do that being completely removed from the political aspect.
So you've done this for quite a long time. Has there been a bigger story in the last 10 years, do you think?
Well, I guess probably in the last 10 years, no, because the credit crisis was absolutely phenomenal in terms of the volume of news that went off the back of that. But in the last decade, no, I don't think that has. And this has been hanging around, 3 years now. So it's had a long lifespan. It does make me wonder what's going to come next.
Well, that's the thing. We've all kind of got used to having this grey cloud around us all the time. It's almost like part of the family now, and what's going to happen afterwards? Some people, I'm convinced, are happy being miserable in the UK. So, what are they going to complain about after this? I don't know.
Well, obviously we have the fallout of the Brexit, assuming it does happen. How are those trade deals with the US going to work out? Because that's a point of contention. But again, that has very big implications on UK trade policies and will drive the economy. So it's going to be very important again that people understand that, and why perhaps we've seen this news of the WTO authorising this big fine against the EU for illegal subsidies of Airbus. How does the UK suddenly sit if it's not part of the EU in that? And how does that make us a more favourable trading partner with the US? So, and the longer term outlook is that if it strengthens the economy, then the pound should go up.
Well, that's definitely food for thought there. As ever, we've got the guru here, so it's really good to hear from you. If you have any questions like before, because a lot of people did PM me about having Tony back on, feel free to message me on LinkedIn or any other ways which you can find Game Changers. We can ask Tony when he's back on again. All right, thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.